as the main focus of the story instead of Gon or Killua, who are, well, the more primary protagonists in contrast to Leorio and Kurapika. But regardless, here are 5 reasons I really enjoyed this arc. So starting off, the first reason is that it gave Kurapika the spotlight, and Kurapika, in my personal opinion, was the most interesting character out of the main 4, that being Gon, Killua, Leorio, and of course Kurapika himself. So why I enjoy Kurapika so much is, well, he bears resemblance to characters like Sasuke, but at the same time he has more nuance to him, and he's a different character, and he's also got a different tints of his own story in there. Like, this is also investigated in the Hunter x Hunter movie, although half of that is filler. But regardless, Kurapika's case is really interesting because it's actually an organization that he's against that kill his family, rather than, of course, someone he knew who did it. So that's something I really find interesting about Kurapika, and also the fact on the matter is he's the most collected one out of the group, where everyone else is pretty much relaxed and more unstructured, in contrast to Kurapika, who really has stuff together, and he's pretty calm and collected, whereas Gon, Killua, and Leorio all lack structure in that regard to some extent, and that's really something I find interesting about Kurapika. And also worth mentioning that the previous 2 arcs really did not explore Kurapika in depth that much, and this was the first arc that really gave Kurapika the spotlight. And continue on to the next point. The next point would be that it introduced a lot of new characters that were really interesting. So, of course, I'm talking about the Phantom Troop, and of course Pakunoda and Uvogin and Shalnark, and all of these characters who were introduced in this arc are, well, you get the point. They were the main antagonists of this arc, and the entirety of the Phantom Troop was really intriguing, especially of course Crollo himself. So yeah, that's something else I really found intriguing about this arc. But let's get into some of the scenes that I found really interesting. So coming in at number 3 would be the fact that this is the arc that had some of the best fights in the series. Of course, the Chimera Ant arc had the best one, but regardless, this has also got really, really great fights that are really mind-blowing. So starting off, this arc really had a really, really great fight with Gon, which include Gon and Killua, and this is really great because it involved Gon and Killua strategizing to escape, and they actually used their wits and not really Nen itself, mainly to escape from the building they were locked in. So that's really something that was really interesting, and Gon and Killua basically end up outsmarting Nobunaga, which is really interesting because Nobunaga is way more experienced in Nen than they are, and what's even more interesting is that they both survive unharmed, and that was really one of the most interesting moments because it highlighted how, despite Gon's superficially less unintelligent demeanor, he's actually the most intelligent person. Well, not the most, but one of the more intelligent people in the group, and his potential that is often highlighted in the series is even more well observable and obvious in this moment. So that's something really intriguing, I find. Next of all, similarly, this is like I would like to carry on this, and the fact that this has really got a lot of strategic and tactical moments, this arc in particular does. So next off, let's move on to what is perhaps my favorite moment of this arc. So it obviously, we are gonna come back to Kurapika himself. So Kurapika's moment in this arc where he actually fights Uvogin. So Kurapika versus Uvogin is really, really great in my personal opinion, because here's the thing. We come in really, the fight literally starts off with us thinking that Kurapika is really weak, and he is. Uvogin is literally years more experienced than he is, and Kurapika has only got less than a year of training so far with Nen. So what really, really intrigues me about this one is how Kurapika manages to win, and this was actually an asshole done right, since we did not know what the Scarlet Eyes really did, and the fact that they allowed Kurapika all 6 types of Nen was really implemented in a really creative way, and Higashi really nailed it with that. Kurapika is He's not only a manipulator, not only a conjurer, not only an enhancer, not only a transmuter, but literally all 6 of them. So that's something that's really just goes to show how great of a writer Togashi is with this, and not to mention the fact that Kurapika actually wins this fight, and this is really rare in anime, especially the more serious ones like Hunter x Hunter, which do have a tint of realism to them despite being mostly a fantasy anime. So that's something I really enjoyed in this arc, and that's actually my personal opinion the best moment in Hunter x Hunter. Kurapika vs. Uvogin really highlights both Kurapika as a character and both how far Shonen has gone since Dragon Ball and the older days. But regardless, let's actually move on, and actually not the next point, but I would like to elaborate and take this more forward. And Kurapika's strategic thinking even goes beyond this, as Kurapika manages to kidnap Chrollo himself, and the way he manages to, but not only just kill Uvogin, and then also manages to outsmart Chrollo, and Chrollo is even more advanced than Uvogin is, and the fact he actually managed to pull through with it without getting harmed at all is the most mesmerizing fact about this arc, to be honest. What can I even say, to be honest? It's just done so brilliantly, and not to mention there's also this funny scene where Chrollo also compliments Kurapika on, and says that he expected Kurapika to be a woman, but it turns out, yeah, he fell for the obvious trap, and Kurapika's actually a guy. Yay, Chrollo. So regardless, that's something else. And next of all, point 5 of this arc would be that it also demonstrated the friendship between the 5 main characters, or 5 if you include you know who. But regardless, yeah, the 4 main characters of Hunter x Hunter, and this really demonstrated the friendship between them towards the end of the arc, and also highlighted how much Kurapika's grown since we first saw him, and since he was pretty distrustful of strangers at first, but Gon, Killua, and Leori have grown onto him, and he actually values their friendship, and he's also really protective of them. And likewise, the same applies to Gon and Killua, as they remembered Kurapika's promise and actually met in Yorknew. Also worth mentioning that this arc actually also sees the perfect opportunity for the next arc, that being Greed Island, since the arc actually started with Gon and Killua instead of Kurapika, and we first saw Gon and Killua go back to Aunt Mito, so that's really something to keep in mind, since this arc was really interconnected into the story, in the sense that it actually carried on to the next arc, that being Greed Island. And Greed Island was actually one of the most, not the best non-filler arc, in the sense that it's supposed to feel like a filler arc, but it doesn't. And yeah, it's actually one of the best arcs in Hunter x Hunter, in my personal opinion. But yeah, especially considering it introduced Bisky, and I actually enjoy Bisky's dynamic with Gon and Killua, and also the fact that the villains in that arc were also interesting. It also let us explore Jean, but not to get too much off topic on Greed Island. But yeah, this was something really great that the Yorknew arc did, and basically these are the 5 main points, in my personal opinion, that I really made this arc great for me. The first one, of course, would be the fact that it let us explore Kurapika. The second of all would be the fact that it highlighted a lot of strategic elements in this show, and gave Gon a chance to shine out once again. And then third of all would be the point that we literally got to see Kurapika versus Uvogin again. And of course, fourth of all would be the point that we literally see all 4 of these characters as friends towards the end of the arc, and that really symbolized what shonen is about, really. Yeah, the power of friendship done right, I guess. And of course, number 5 being that this was really great in the sense that it also incremented, of course, the next arc in just the first few episodes of the show. So yeah, and Togashi really manages to interconnect his stories really well, something that a lot of other authors struggle with, and this is actually also evidenced in Yu Yu Hakusho. But yeah, basically this is something he really nailed in the Yorknew arc. So regardless, these are my 5 main points as to why I really like the Yorknew Arc. More on the fight between Kurapika and Uvogin though is the fact that, again, Kurapika first of all really outsmarted Uvogin, but it also shows us that how much willing Kurapika is to sacrifice just to reach his goal. And what I find interesting is the fact that Kurapika really did give it all away, and his life that's pretty much what his life revolves around now, and he's pretty much left no room for anything else other than maybe his friendship with Gon and Hyuga. But as we see later on, he even puts that as a second priority and not really his first. So yeah, that's really something I really find interesting in regards to Kurapika, as Kurapika is perhaps one of the best written characters in all of Hunter x Hunter, and well, as some people like to say, he's a quote-unquote better Sasuke, but in my personal opinion, I do not like to use Kurapika as a reason to really look down on Sasuke, and I think Sasuke and Kurapika are really appreciable characters in their own rights, and I actually enjoy Sasuke as well, despite how much people dislike him these days. So yeah, Kurapika and Sasuke are both characters I really enjoy, and that's yeah, something I wish a lot of people really mellow down on, but I'm going off topic again. So this arc, the Yorknew Arc, is well worth a watch, and you should probably also rewatch it if you have the time. So especially after you finish Hunter x Hunter, and you should also go watch the 1999 version. Well, this has been well guys, thank you for watching so far, and this has been Doran, and if you enjoyed today's video, again, make sure to like and subscribe, as it really helps out the channel. With that out of the way though, thanks for watching this far, and I'll see you next time. Cheers gamers, peace.